Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We got a really small little drop this morning of Yu-Gi-Oh! News. This is actually the first two cards being revealed for the OCG's Promotion Pack 2024. This is usually like a super tiny little, kind of just like the name intends, promotional little drop just to try and get some people excited with a couple of new cards. Last year, it literally had 5 new cards in it. So that tells you like how small it is. If you don't remember what these cards were, but it's like the X-Tox Hydra, the Tri-Edge Master, the Datarant the Ooze Giant, the Don't Slip the Dogs of War, and our RGB Rainbow Lucian. So nothing too crazy. There was some interesting stuff like X-Tox being a instant fusion target was interesting, stuff like that. Tri-Edge is actually not a bad generic synchro. And then some of the others are just kind of meh. But we'll see here. Maybe there's something fringe spicy here. First off, we start with a level 1 fire spellcaster. When I first saw this, I didn't even read it. I was like, whoa, because that's something really spicy for something like the Invoked Dogmatica Sinful Spoils deck, where like the Sinful Spoils engine doesn't really carry its load like the other two engines do at the moment, because there's not a good enough like spellcaster payoff. But maybe for the spellcaster deck in general, if they ever just get like a good fire spellcaster, maybe it's something like a new Magistus card or a new spellbook monster that's just like a level 1 fire that like gets the spellbook engine going. Like maybe there's a world here where that spellbook deck actually comes to fruition all the way through. But we'll see. Let's see how this card goes. This is Mea and Machino. This is a level 1 fire spellcaster effect monster. Sorry, the picture is so tiny here. This doesn't do it that much justice. I guess a little. It's like a little girl and like a fire teddy, I guess. And then this guy actually looks cool. This guy does look cool. New fusion. Anyway, if this card is in your hand, you can reveal 3 cards from your hand and or deck with the same name as cards in your opponent's graveyard, but different names from each other. And if you do, special summon this card. Okay, so you have to reveal cards from your hand or deck that have the same name as stuff in your opponent's grave, so you do have to wait for your opponent to kind of fill up their grave, but if there's enough generic stuff or you're on a mirror match type situation, you would be able to summon this. Don't love how reliant it is on the opponent, but that's weird, and also I don't want to have to reveal what I'm like so much of what I'm playing, but okay. When your opponent activates a card or quick effect, you can send this card summoned by its first effect to the graveyard to send 1 card with the same name as that opponent's card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, negate the activation. Okay. So this actually is somewhat of an interesting card, just for the sole fact of like the mirror match going second, I guess. Now, there's probably just better cards that play going second than this. Like playing a small monster that's a negate going second is really not that great. But I do understand the utility here of like your opponent goes full combo. You're maybe on like something of a mirror match. This is a level 1 fire, so maybe it helps something like Rescue Ace, helps something like Infernoble sort of Link Climb to an extent, because you just go special this card by revealing some generic stuff that they already put in their grave anyway. If it's post side, they already know what you're on anyway. And then when your opponent tries to activate something and you've already summoned this, you're able to send another card of the same type, assuming you're in a mirror match, to go ahead and negate that activation. So I think it's fine. Just the fact that it's like never able to be summoned turn 1 makes this card really cringe. It's a fun card, but it's too specific situationally to come up. And then A-Star Speculation. Okay, I love the artwork on this guy. Level 7 Light Warrior Fusion effect monster, 25/25 for the stats. Its materials are 1 monster with 2,500 or more attack, plus 1 face-down defense position monster with 2,500 or less defense. Interesting. You can only special summon him once per turn. This is just a super poly target, by the way. Okay, we can talk about that a little bit more in a sec. First effect. This card gains this effect based on its battle position. If it's in attack position, it gains attack equal to the highest original attack among monsters your opponent controls. That's actually pretty nice, even for a super poly target, because then it like immediately is going to be significantly bigger than the biggest monster on their field, so you get to just threaten to walk over something else. If it's in defense position, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. That's also not terrible. just straight up destruction protection. Still can be targeted and removed by non-destruction, but that's actually not the worst protection inherently. In the second effect, you contribute 1 attack position monster and 1 face down defense position monster as cost to special summon this card from your graveyard. So it is able to just jump right back out. Not a terrible card, to be honest. I don't think it's like an amazing card for what it is, but I do think in the context of Super Poly, this could be something interesting down the line. My first thought on this card is like Shadalls, being able to like set one of your Shadal monsters into a board to set one, then Super Poly, and you can rip pretty much any monster your opponent has that's higher than 2,500 attack. That's going to be a lot of things, right? If we're talking Yu-Gi-Oh! We're talking end board status. A lot of decks are aiming to end on a big monster, at least. That's a big negate. Maybe it's Barone, maybe it's an archetype boss monster, whatever it is. That should be very, very doable. So it's clear any big monster, then send a set Shadal, which, by the way, this would be sending by card effect, so you would trigger the Shadal to make up some value. And then you're also summoning a guy who's going to become, by far, the biggest attack monster on the field and walk over something else. So I think there's actually some pretty decent utility here. All things considered, I think we get a new Super Poly target. And now it's a little bit specific because it needs a face-down monster, but I think there's a world where there are some decks that can tolerate setting a monster just to be able to Super Poly away at least one monster, then maybe walk over another. There's definitely some decks that would be able to afford that. But I don't know. Interesting card for sure. And maybe we'll even see like some, set decks like come up later down the line. I don't know. But we'll see. But I'm ready for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. I don't know exactly how many cards are going to come out of this because this is card number 1 and card number 2 in the set. Maybe it's like this and we're going to get somewhere around 5 like we did last year. So we'll keep an eye out for it. I mean, like I said, this is just a new Super Poly target. So like, this isn't nothing. This isn't absolute garbage. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below on these 2 new cards. If there's any other utility I'm not giving them credit for, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm out of here. I will keep you updated on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News. It's actually been quite a fruitful week for news. But I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace.